Okay, hello guys. Today we're gonna go through a little bit of basics in CAD and how to use an FTC. And let's get started, I guess. So, what is CAD? CAD is basically like if you want something that you don't have yet, if you want something that you don't have and it's like a really specific use case, then you're gonna have to develop it yourself, usually with the help of 3D printing or CNC, whatever. And you're gonna have to design it first, right? CAD is a way to design it in your computer. When I started, I called it Legos, but in computers, which is basically what it is. And then also we're gonna go through projects, imports, and exports, and an introduction to the FTC parts library. Okay, nice. Let's get started. So I'm gonna assume you already have Onshape because Onshape is the one I use. I realize there are different CAD softwares like Fusion 360, SolidWorks. Fusion is probably better than Onshape in my opinion, but I think Onshape really is a better beginner tool, I guess. So just use it. Okay, and we're gonna go over here. I'm gonna assume that you already have everything set up, like you already have an account. It's pretty easy to get an account. I'm not gonna walk you through that. And so we're gonna start off by creating a new project or document, right? You can import files here. Really, this is the import files, and import files, usually they're in STL or step files. So just get that and then it'll import into anywhere you want it to. I don't have an example right now. Maybe I'll show one later. So you can create a folder to sort your things. I have a folder here called Robotics, which is where I store my things, and documents. So we're going to create a document. We're going to name it test because this is a test document. Nice. Please. They're not created. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit laggy. So one thing is that Onshape is run on the browser, so it does take up a bit of your RAM, and it also depends on not only your computer, not only your computer, but your browser as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. But right now we have like a 3D space, I think. I guess you could call it that. So if I'm holding up my mouse, and if you see, I hold down my right click button or mouse 2, right, and I move that around, that kind of, this is holding on mouse 2, that kind of rotates it around. Okay, if I hold down my middle mouse button, for me it's this one, or maybe it's your scroll wheel, it for the default options, if you changed it during the setup of Onshape, I don't know, but it moves it, linearly, I think. Yeah, linearly is the way to say it. And then if I hold down like mouse 1 like this, it clicks into things, right? So if I want to move somewhere, here, 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 that's middle and right click, right? And then left click is just, select whatever. Okay, and you can see you have your starting planes here. These are your planes. I can move to a bit of a better position to see right here. The front plane, right plane, and the top plane, these are all the planes. You can hide them, honestly, but this is where you usually start your sketches or get your objects. There are two different types of files. I think is how is like a visual representation of where you are in space, which direction you're looking at. So if I go to Part Studio right here and I turn these on again with the little I button, if I wanted to go to the top, I would just click the top part like that. And if I wanted to go to the side in isometric view, I just go there and right. It's pretty easy to use, but I usually use mouse. You use your scroll wheel to zoom in and out. I forgot this. This is very important. Scroll wheel to zoom in and out. So these are all your tools, sketches, whatever. Next lesson, okay? All right. I also recommend checking out the hardware and graphics performance recommendations. This is just check out their article. I'm gonna link it in the description below. So yeah, see, poor connection. That's part. Your Wi-Fi also affects your your FPS basically in this. Okay, so that is what is CAD: projects, imports, and export. Right. So if you have okay, I'm gonna talk about actually the FTC parts library and then export, so I can show you what it's like. Okay. So the FTC library, I'm gonna duplicate this tab. FTC parts library is basically like FTC order parts from GoBuilda, I don't know, Rev, whatever. Those parts, you don't have they do have a 3D model version of those on the websites usually, but there isn't a comprehensive library for all of these. So if you want to, this is the powerful thing about Onshape. There's something called an app store. Okay, so editing Noah here. I realized that the webcam was blocking part of the vision, but so if you want to go to the FTC parts library and download it, the apps button is here on the top right corner of your big bar, and you go to the app store, right? And then you can go over here and you can search whatever. Yeah, that's all it is. Thank you. I don't know if there's anything like this in Fusion. I haven't checked, but you search up FTC here. Okay, there's an FTC insert tool. This is the parts library. Okay, now I already have it installed. I can't show you how to install it, but it's always free, and it has everything you need, and it's really good. You just search up FTC here and follow the instructions. There's an instructions guide on how to install it. I'm running out of breath. Okay, hold up. Yeah, there's an instructions guide on how to install it. Now I'm going to show you how it works in an assembly, okay? Because I can import multiple parts. Once you get it all set up, you should have this little button over here called Insert Tool. If you don't have it, you're doing something wrong. Do it again. Have this button, Insert Tool. If it will load. Okay, nice. So you could search by name or part number, or you could go all through these folders, okay? Now, what I usually do, because our team usually buys stuff from GoBuilda, is there's a GoBuilda website, right? And the GoBuilda website is a lot more functional, and you can actually see what you're looking at. So imagine I wanted a motor, right? Imagine I wanted a motor, yellow jacket, let's say like, yeah, 435, just this normal run-of-the-mill motor. There's your name and there's your SKU. This is your serial number. This is very important, okay? This is the step file, but this step file you'll have to download and import, which is a long time, right? What I could do is I could just copy this serial number, paste it in here, enter, wait a second, and it's there. I click it and it appears in my document. There we go. See, now I can see it, and it's a very accurate representation of a motor. Look at that. You could zoom in so much, whatever. All right, and now I have this object in here. I can move it around like this. You could try playing around with it. Go back to the top. Now it's not correctly aligned, but you know, you can play with this, right? And if I were to design multiple parts, and I were to export them, I could click into this part. I could export a single part like this with the export button. You could export it as a step file, STL, whatever. Usually I use step. It's probably the most simplest thing, and most people could, use it. Export models will orient the y-axis up. This is just options, and then file name, and download. Yes. So that's how you do things, basically. I think that's all I have. So FTC parts library project import. Yes. Okay. So those are kind of the basics. Okay. Next lesson, we're going to talk about mates, sketches, and the more basic things before we get into the big things. You know what I'm saying? Okay, great. Awesome. Bye.